Messi. Messi. Oh, my goodness. Balotelli. Aguero. Oh, that is extraordinary. What a head, son. What a head. Back of the net.
Hello and welcome to our Euros 2024 preview and prediction episode. And I'm delighted to introduce you, as always, to Robbie, Nate, Connor, and myself, Killian. But before we get into any of the Euros madness, gentlemen, we have a Ireland friendly to discuss. 2-1 over Hungary. Connor, is it enough to convince you for John O'Shea to get the job?
The game wasn't, but the interview was. If I'm honest, the game was pretty dire. I must say I missed kind of a little bit of the first half. Kind of came into it thinking that it'd be a case of same old, same old. There was a real lack of chemistry between the teams, I suppose, between the team, not the teams. Hungary were there for the take, and I think we made a bit of a meal of it. But look, we got there in the end. Terrible goal for Parrott at the end, but it's good to see him getting across the line. But I will say the bit that got me on the John O'Shea train is when he kind of did the whole "I'm a lad from Waterford, I shouldn't be here," and Didi Hamann kind of saying that it needs to be someone from Ireland also kind of sold it to me in his kind of passionate spiel. So I don't know about you guys.
Very ironic that the German on the Irish panel is screaming for the Irish manager, Nate.
Yeah, no, that was funny. He's like, you can't be a foreign manager. Just like, okay, why? Give us one good reason why.
The German who spent his whole career
to be honest,
in England.
I think the biggest thing I took out of it is football in Ireland's in serious trouble. Like, the Aviva was empty. Like,
there was more people in my apartment block than at that game. Like, it was dire.
A sunny day in Dublin. Like, if football's in trouble in this country, I think. Like, especially when, one of the reasons that people are going for John O'Shea is, look, he's bringing the field goal factor. Yeah, not enough to get people out of their houses and into the Aviva, is it? So I think it's a bit of a fluff, and I still don't think John O'Shea is good enough to be Ireland manager.
He's not good enough. I think. Well, good enough sounds mean. I don't think he's the right. We can do better. I don't know about you, Rob.
I don't even know if we can do better now because I think there's been no leaks. There's no sense that there's anyone else kind of been linked with the job. Maybe after the Euros, someone might become available, but he probably is the best we can get at the moment. And I suppose it's not going to be revolutionary or anything like that. Like, you can only work with the players kind of that are there. And they did at least win. And Hungary are 34 places above Ireland. I think it's the first time they beat a team ranked above them since they beat Scotland 2 years ago. And I think going back to Nate saying Irish football's in trouble. I've lost a lot of kind of. I used to care a lot about who the Ireland manager is. Now I'm like, yeah, why not? John O'Shea seems grand. Give him a go. We're probably going to finish roughly even, because it just doesn't look like we're going to be able to compete for the types of managers who would make a difference. For example, maybe Brendan Rodgers or Graham Potter or.
Oh Jesus! 3 minutes you already brought up Voldemort.
Yeah, but that's one for Killian. I know that, but or someone like Rodgers if he was to leave Celtic. But we can't afford any of these guys. All we can afford is kind of John O'Shea wanting the job is probably puts him at the top of the queue. So because there doesn't seem to be anyone else who wants it. So from that perspective, I'm kind of willing to give him one campaign, because we're probably not going to reach the World Cup in 2 years anyway, and then we'll be hosts for the next Euros if we qualify. So that's probably the chance then to get someone, maybe a bigger name or someone more experienced. So that's probably one of the most balanced answers I think I've ever given.
Killian, what do you say? No, that's a hard one to follow.
To be honest, I think the result and interview has overshadowed a very poor performance. I thought there was nothing convincing about the team at any stage. There's obviously kind of a bit of rifts going on behind the scenes with Matt Doherty putting out kind of salty Instagram,
I didn't like that, yeah.
Saying great 45 or one of my best 45s, and then Shane Duffy commenting same. So it's not all rosy in the Garden of Eden. But Liam Scales, I was beaten down in our group chat just saying like I was really unimpressed by him. Thought he was very rash. Um, Smallbone got man in the match, and I'm worried that he's turning into a Jeff Hendrick 2.0. Like the man is putting in a lot of effort and having very little finished product at the end of that. I don't think that's how he will end up, but there's always that kind of concern. I thought Kelleher was good. I think he's really kind of planted the flag to be the number one. Um, and if he keeps kind of performing the next little while, there's no reason to drop him, even when Bazunu's back.
And we've been saying that as a pod for a while. Like, you know, Keller really has secured himself in the minutes that he's got with Liverpool to deserve that jersey.
Now the only thing is he just needs to get more minutes to consistently justify it. But while Bazunu's out, as long as he can try to make it his own, he should be given the benefit of the doubt. Like I think I'd love John O'Shea to have been the man, but he's not. I think it's a continuation appointment from Kenny. There hasn't been a new manager bounce. There hasn't been a fresh impetus or new ideas. The only freshness that's been brought into that squad is Sammy Smodix
It
and
was
Jake
nice.
O'Brien.
It was nice to see him. And you know, what's worrying is, like, I know we were joking about it for a long time, being like, you know, there'll be a national call up to be the Ireland manager for a week, but like the only name I've heard in the last couple of weeks is Bilic, and A, I don't think he's the guy, and B, I don't think he'd want it.
So the issue with Bilic is he has offers on the table, including I think it's Fenerbahce. So like if he was to do
He
the
was
job,
offered Mourinho's gig.
I think possibly it was definitely a Turkish job. I'm not sure which one. It was one that he was at before.
Interesting.
So it'd be in if he was to take the Ireland job, and I don't think he will, but if he was, he would be turning down good positions, which would be very kind of heartening and make you kind of believe that there is a little bit of hope left. Like I was absolutely disgusted when Jesse Marsh went to Canada and he hadn't even been even linked to the Ireland job. Whatever you think of him as a coach, that's the level that we should be aiming for. He's after leaving a Premier League club. Why aren't we getting an interview with him? Not saying that there hasn't been, but there should have been a lot more vocal conversations around him.
I think geography got in the way of that when I think he wanted to be back home and closer to the States, and I couldn't have seen him unless we allowed him fly in and out. I don't see him. He would have been able to live in Ireland.
Well, see, this thing. I think they're just going to have to swallow their pride in this. You can either have a coach that's going to live in Ireland, or you can have a good coach.
Well, I don't see the need for them to be in Ireland. I think if anything, every one of our players plays in the UK. They should be based there. I don't see why the hell they need to be here. And you know, one thing that I was thinking about during the game, because God knows my mind drifted during that game, was it's kind of ironic that the time where the League of Ireland has had the biggest glow up probably in its history has kind of come at a time where the Irish team is just at a complete kind of gone off a cliff situation. And it's, if anything, it's, you'd love to see more League of Ireland players breaking in because of that, you know?
I just think the quality difference just isn't there. So I'd love to see, and Nate, you might kind of you might actually be for this idea. I'd love to see the likes of an Ireland B team come back, kind of just have a few kind of friendlies to bring through older guys that like Jack Byrne. He's not actually really good enough to be in the Ireland squad, but he might be if we needed him. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. I think that would be a good idea. Like the thing that sort of doesn't sit well with me currently is we've now had two. Well, we haven't played second game yet, but we've had two international windows now where it feels like we haven't even tried anything really. And like I'm looking at the bench yesterday. I'm looking at Jake O'Brien. I'm looking at even Liam Scales. I know he wasn't the best when he came on. You know, you got Tom Cannon who just got called up. Like show these lads off. Like Jake O'Brien, like this lad should have been in the Ireland squad last time out playing. But he like I just feel like
It's
we're
very Kenny football.
yeah, like this guy's getting linked with Juventus. Like he's he seems to be a mainstay in that Leon team that definitely got off to a rough start of the season. Like,
It took
get
till
this,
the
get,
second camp to get a cap, and they're friendlies.
If
like,
he was if he was
Cost
Premier
nothing to give
League,
them.
if he was in the Premier League, I don't think it would have taken this long. I really don't.
but like he's getting linked with Juventus. Like this lad clearly has talent. Get him in, get him integrated. What are we waiting for? Like,
If Ireland ever had a player to play for Juventus, was Brady at Juventus?
Radio played for Juventus, yeah.
Tom
Jesus,
Cannon,
you're in good company there.
Yeah.
get him a cap. Like, you know what I mean? Like he could still go declare for England tomorrow. Like, get him a cap. Do you know what I mean? Oh,
Yeah,
just
like I don't know about you, Robbie. You kind of followed Kenny a bit closer than the rest of us, but it seems same old, same old.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be as O'Shea. I think he'd be more like you say, he's like a modern coach, but he might be more of a Mick McCarthy, more of a pragmatist than Kenny. Like one of the things that bothered me with Kenny, where I think he got it very wrong, and he didn't do this in club football, is that he was very stuck to a certain way of playing. He loved to talk of the fact that we're playing great football, we have X amount of passes, we're doing this, we're doing that, and there was no evidence of it on the pitch, and he was asking certain players to play a way that I don't think suited them. For example, like I remember last year when they lost to France and the ball was given away and Pavard scored, and people were saying that was just like, oh, that was just a mistake that happens. But that happened because Josh Cullen was encouraged to play football in every area of the pitch because Kenny was talking up this big game that Ireland are going to do that, and he gave the ball straight away and France scored. And that's what will happen at an elite level. And Ireland don't have players really that are that comfortable playing that way. So I do think O'Shea might be a bit more pragmatic. I think he might be closer to a Mick McCarthy type of guy. He seems very much like a man manager type of approach as well. And he noticed he brought a lot of coaches in when we brought a guy in who worked with him at Birmingham. I think he still has that guy Paddy McCarthy that's at Palace. So he has got good coaches around him. So maybe, and the players seem to like him, which you can't always read too much into. But apart from Duffy and Doherty, but like they're like let's be honest, if you're putting a team out in September to play against England, like I'm starting 35-year-old James Coleman ahead of Matt Doherty and
100%.
Jacob Ryan or even Scales or Amba Banadelli, anyone starting ahead of Duffy. Like Duffy's not an elite player, so I wouldn't worry too much about what those guys are saying. But I don't know, maybe I'm coming a bit around to the idea of O'Shea because I just don't see anyone else, and the fact he wants it, and the fact that we're probably not going to qualify for the World Cup anyway. Like only 13 teams qualify from Europe, and we're not among the best 13 teams in Europe.
When
So
you put it like that, Jesus, that really puts a kind of
yeah, we're a dysfunctional football nation, and we have to qualify from the most competitive region. Like if we could switch and qualify from CONCACAF and go up against Jesse Mars and all those guys, it gives us a chance. Like, but we're coming up against really, really good teams, and I think, I'd give him the Nations League campaign. I'd make him a permanent choice. I'd probably give him a 1 year rolling deal, but all the time in the background thinking of who's our ideal candidate. Like maybe in 2 years' time, Brendan Rodgers leaves Celtic and he doesn't get a Premier League job. And someone like Rodgers is, I know he's not everyone's cup of tea, but he is an elite coach and he's Irish and he's of Irish nationalist stock. I think he'd absolutely love that job. So at some point in his career, so that's probably the way I'd be looking at it, a bit more pragmatic. And as Nate said, like they've got players, like when you actually stop and think about it, like Cannon, he's highly rated, and Ferguson, if we can get him fit again, he's rated. The midfield is still going to be an issue, like small bone, as you said, Killian, or Josh Cullen. They're just not on a top level. We don't have anyone. We don't even have anyone like that guy England have in their squad, and Wharton, this young guy. So we're kind of stuck with a few of them, and I probably would just give O'Shea a year contract just to have a respect for him and go like, listen, we can't keep calling him the interim manager. I think there might even be rules about that, like workplace relations rules. Like you have to give a contract at some point. Like you can't just keep asking to come in.
I think you're right. I think give him a year deal, give it heavily incentivized to kind of
Yeah,
boost performances. And one thing though, like I said at the top of the show, chemistry. Like I don't want to sound like Gareth Southgate, but when you look at that Ireland team, like the England lads, I know they're better players and they're at bigger tournaments, so you're going to enjoy it more. But like the England lads look like they enjoy playing football. The Irish lads, it just seems like, oh yeah, whoever turns up for Sunday League, yeah, we'll just play as a team,
yeah,
It's so bad, and like where I would actually hold John O'Shea massively, massively at fault here is ultimately he's tried nothing.
I
He's tried
agree.
nothing and he's all out of ideas. There was no
It's very
it,
safe.
way too safe. There was no kind of like let's lads, we have nothing to lose here. Let's just give this a go. There was no like go out by the seat of our pants. Let's die trying. There was nothing there that makes you kind of go, oh, I I might want this guy. Like these are all resigned to John O'Shea rather than
This
actually wanting him.
this reminds me of The Simpsons, Killian, when
Mm.
Homer says to the kids, like, you tried your best and you failed miserably. The lesson is never try. Like Ireland tried to play football with Stephen Kenny.
Like
It's
he
like we
tried
tried.
nothing and he's already out of ideas.
We were talking about passing triangles and overloads, and we're playing three at the back, and we failed absolutely miserably. I just hoof up the pitch, honestly, and get a man manager in and just get our best players on the pitch. And I know it sounds really reductive, but I actually I think that's a good thing. O'Shea has to come out and start talking big or talking about the
Yeah, he's just
coaching he's
playing with what
doing.
he's got.
Like I just feel unless we get someone at elite level like or Brendan Rodgers or I don't know Marcelo Bielsa, like I think that might work in his favor and might
But
make him a bit more adaptable.
with managers like that, and just with the names you've put out there, right? If we look at that Ireland team, where are they in the English Football League? Do we think
I think they're promotion chasing playoff team.
Championship?
I think
Yeah,
that's a bit.
They're Sunderland
I would
level.
have said like mid to bottom half Championship.
I'd say that as well.
but
Oh
you
no,
need Evan Ferguson, and if I know he
yeah.
hasn't been, but if he's on his form, he
He's
is a Champions League potential player.
yeah.
I'd say.
Hmm.
Lads,
But
Give me that. And Kelleher is very good too.
Killian,
one
where are you
one
saying they are?
I think Sunderland anywhere from kind of like 15th to 5th, like and like in the championship at the minute, and I'm of all of us, I'm the one that kind of watches it the most. All it takes is four or five bad games, and you've gone from 5th to 15th. Because that's what happened to Sunderland. Is you just go on a small bad run, and then suddenly it looks like you've had a terrible season, and you haven't. But like we're, it seems that they're waiting now to appoint a manager till after they're appointing a CEO or a solicitor because they're still actually searching for that job. So maybe they can't actually sign a contract yet. But if they're going to wait that long, well, then you might as well wait to the end of the Euros or the end of the Olympics and go for the likes of a Willie Sagnol or a Harvey Renard. Be a little bit inventive because other than that, they're not going to sell any tickets. They're like, this is from a business point of view a serious issue, and one of the other things I'm actually really, really shocked about is they're just not doubling down and trying to get players of other nationalities to fill in these gaps. Like there should have been a much bigger push to get Jack McGlynn from America to fill in the small bone issue. Like much bigger push to try and get Liam Delap to fill in for when Evan Ferguson's going to be inevitably injured. Like Nate, I think you're kind of closer to me on this. Like, we should be either getting inventive with our managerial appointment or with picking our players. Like, the FAI have something to prove here.
who or what is the FAI right now? I
I
think
don't
that's
think
the
they
bigger
even know,
question.
man. Like,
I threw my job application in the other day for CEO, so I'm hoping to get back to me. But like I really worry, and because of how badly this managerial search has gone, and then the CEOs jump ship, and now it's just a mess. I'm really actually scared for Irish football where it is right now. We can't attract a manager with any and lads, you know I love O'Shea, United legend, blah blah blah. But with any bit of like expertise, um, like the player wise, we'll be lucky. Like we're lucky to take one or two players. I'm just, yeah, I'm just a little bit worried to be honest.
Like, uh, one of the things I really want to see of this search, and bear in mind, I don't know if it's just me, um, uh, Sunderland and Ireland are both having serious issues. Like Sunderland's over 100 days without a manager now, a permanent manager, and Ireland's going to be like must be longer than that, much longer. Um,
no
the,
one's floated Will Still for Ireland manager. I'm just thinking of Sunderland because he's been
he's
touted for you lot.
yeah, and he apparently had said yes, and now he's going to go to Lens.
Oh right, okay.
So it's a will still issue, but like that's exactly what I was going to say though. Is like some of the names that are coming out now for Sunderland are a bit off the page. So there's like Janssen, who used to be, I think it was the either AZ Alkmaar or PSV coach. There was Liam Rossinier. Like these are all names that should be gettable for Ireland.
I just I just think that the organisation and the mess that it's in, the salary you can offer, Ireland's ranking, the fact that the whole team, there's no guarantee of success. You're only playing a couple of matches a year. It just seems like a hard sell for any, like, to convince anyone, if that makes sense, to headhunt someone. Um, Now again, in 3 years' time, if we have a home Euros, that's a different story and a bigger budget, and the association's on its feet again. But at the moment, I do think it's someone like Chris Hughton or John O'Shea or random manager like Gus Poyet might throw his name in the hat as he did. And really, I'd probably just rather O'Shea if it's going to be any of those guys, because it's just, he may as well. He's there now. Just give it to him for a year and then go from there, because I don't think it's going to make or break the team or the association the way managers might have in the past. I think we're going to be struggling regardless, really. We're going to be probably at a certain level given just everything else that's going on. Like, I think we're nearly 70th in the world. So, yeah, I would
Bleak.
say, yeah, 1 year rolling contract for O'Shea.
Well, it's
And
one of those ones as well. Like I do wonder, even if we had all the money in the world and we got some angel investor like a Dermot Desmond type, like if I'm Brendan Rodgers, Ireland's a dumpster fire that I don't want to go near, especially not until closer to a World Cup, or at least where you've got some shot of getting something, you know.
That's why Harvey Renard is the man, because he just loves turning a sow's ear into a like a silk purse. He did it in Saudi. He did very well in the World Cup. He's made the French women's national team fantastic going
he
into
could be
the
next France
Olympics.
manager, Killian, though. If
Yeah,
like Deschamps has to leave eventually, no one knows what Zidane wants to do. Like, Zidane could be wanting another club job because he'll be France manager at any point if he wants it.
mm.
Like, Renard is then the next top coach in the French Association, and
And if he comes to Ireland, he could absolutely dump his stock bad.
yeah, and it might not be a right cultural fit. Like,
I
yeah,
don't know if the French rate him enough. Like, I don't think they appreciate how good of a manager he is, and like it's telling when PSG isn't going for him. Like the amount of managers that they've gone through, and like they had your man from Nice after Nice won the Liga a couple of years ago. So like they've been through them all, and they just kind of drop them as they need. So I don't know if France is necessarily in from. There is going to be other teams in from, because as happens with every tournament, which brings us on nicely. There will be a mass exodus of coaches. So we might get to pick up a few names there, the likes of maybe like a Willie Sagnol or
The only
Fragment.
reason I want Willie Sagnol is in about episode 3 we called him as being the next Ireland manager, and I just want to pull that clip. But like the other thing with I'm all up for waiting to see, like off the back of tournaments, but like there's a little bit of a, well, if you're interested pre that, why didn't you throw your hat in the ring? It's a bit kind of too little too late. But I do think, jokes aside, with the John O'Shea workplace rights, like there's only so many times where he's gonna be called on and just go, you know what, go away, you know.
And we're going to say go away to Ireland for now, because we actually have something exciting to talk about. Gentlemen, last week we did the carousel. We found out who our teams were going to be for the Euros. Nate, are you happier than you were last week? Because you weren't particularly happy
Yeah,
with your choices.
I'm a bit happier now. I gave Serbia a go on Football Manager. And, they're not as bad as I thought. I jumped the gun a bit.
Rob, how are your teams? Belgium and Slovenia. Are you happy enough having had the chance to look at them?
no, I still think they're terrible. Not terrible. Slovenia, I have in my predictor, which is obviously going to be 100% accurate if Slovenia going out in the group stages. And Belgium have a actually I've since rejigged it, and Belgium going out to Italy in the last 16.
Oh,
So
So
we,
terrible.
we will get to that. So
yeah,
don't reveal all. At least Belgium have really nice kit
yeah,
inspired
the
by
Tintin inspired kit. Yeah,
yeah, which looks pretty damn sick, and I would love to get a cheap one after the tournament. Connor, what about you? How are you looking with your teams?
I mean, look, getting France. I'm obviously going to be thereabouts. Am I happy about it? No. But we are where we are. Poland. I won't go too into it until we kind of dig into it. But I don't think it's as far as people might have thought.
But sure, they have Matty Cash. Did he get called up?
no, he's injured. Actually, he can't. He has to get surgery, so he's not in the squad.
Lovely. So all you have is like Lewandowski and Chesney and all them. I'm still kind of reasonably happy with my ones. I think it very much suits my personality. Ireland fan, Sunderland fan. Having Portugal and Czech Republic, so kind of nice middle of the roads. Like we might get something good.
Bruno
Chances are we
fanboy.
won't. So what we will do though is we will kind of predict who we think the player of the tournament is going to be, Golden Glove, Dark Horse, and top scorer. But we leave that to the end because what we're actually going to go through now is we've all done our prediction for the tournament. So, gentlemen, group stages, Group A, Rob, what was your positionings? 1, 2, 3, 4.
I have Germany topping it with comfortable 9 points. Switzerland in second with 4 points. I don't think Scotland are going to do much. I think Scotland with two, and then Hungary, who fell to Ireland last place with 1 point. I think Germany beat Scotland comfortably first night, and then they'll be Hungary go through. Like Scotland, Switzerland might pick up a draw, but you look to the Scotland squad, they've no quality up front really, and like they have got McTominay's like their main goal threat. They've McGinn, who's a good player, and obviously Andy Robertson, but I can't see them doing much. And Scotland have never, I could be wrong, but they've never got out of the group stage at an international tournament, and
I
I
don't
think
think they have.
that will continue. I can't see it. As much as I kind of would like them to do well, but I just can't see it.
I'm going the flip. Kind of going on the flip of you. I'm going with the Celtic nature of myself, and I've got a 1, 2, 3, 4 of Germany, Scotland, Switzerland, Hungary. But I think you're probably more right than I.
Connor, I have the same as you. Scotland, I think, going to get second with 4 points. I think they'll sneak maybe a win against the likes of Hungary. Like if we can do it, anybody can.
They're also going to bring an absolute militia of fans. So I think if
Yeah.
if they get across the line, it's merely because of sheer vibes.
They have been good in qualifying. Sorry, Nate. Like they did really well in qualifying. It's just I just think the quality will eventually tell. But the Scotland fan would turn around and say we're idiots because they beat Spain in qualifying. They beat Norway, so they are good. It's just I just can't see it.
Are you joining the Scottish Mafia with myself and Killian, Nate? What are you saying?
No, I'm not. I've got Germany, Switzerland, Scotland, and Hungary, who just lost to John O'Shea. So
Yeah. So we're 50-50 on them.
yeah, we'll
like,
see who's right.
We're all in and around the same though. Rob, back to you for Group B.
Yeah,
1 to 4.
Spain top in the group, but this is actually in my predictor game here. I call it the game, the Excel sheet. It's quite it's all teams finish on 5 points. So Spain, Croatia, Italy all have 5 points. Albania 0 points. Just by the way, I went through it. Spain got through by goal difference. Then have Croatia second place and Italy. But Croatia and I think Spain, they won't be great goal scorers. I think they'll go crash out again to an unfancy team like they have the last couple of years, like against Russia in the World Cup or against Morocco in the last World Cup. And I just don't think they probably have enough goals in them. And then Croatia are just a tournament team. Croatia are the ultimate tournament team. Every tournament I can remember going back, I won't even say as long as much football tournaments, but they've always done well. And they just seem to rise to the occasion. So I think they'll
I've
go
been
through.
watching since they became a country.
I watched them first in Euro '96 when I was a small kid, so that's how long ago it was. And I think when did they got there? They got to I think the quarterfinals or the semi-finals, but Yeah, they always do well. And then Italy are going to be interesting to watch, like because Spalletti is their manager, and anyone remembers him at Napoli. He won the league under him for the first time. He's a very kind of modern, high pressing, tactical football type of coach. And Italy were great to watch the last tournament, but again, you don't really have a great striker. So we have Italy going through in third place, but I think it could any three of those you could mix up. I
It
think
really
anyone could
is.
pop it.
It's one of the probably the group of death in it, and I think for me, pretty much Spain again. I think they'll run away with that group. I think Italy might surprise people. I have them in second, but I wouldn't be. It's either Croatia or Italy in second for me. I've gone Italy, Croatia in third, and Albania with 0 points.
I have kind of booked the trend. I think Italy aren't going to do particularly well. And I have Croatia top on goal difference by a goal,
Oof.
by scoring one more goal, basically. Then Croatia, Spain, Italy, Albania, and then on 0. Nate,
When you said
what do you
booking the
think?
trend, I thought you were going to be like Albania were in the group, and I was like,
Yeah,
okay, all right. What are you saying, Nate?
I have Spain tops the group, Italy second, Croatia third, Albania fourth. But
Good lad.
it's one of those groups that like one fixture will throw it all out of sort.
and Albania might be worth keeping an eye on for their manager, Silvino. He's played for Arsenal. He has one of
Oh,
those
I
that
remember him. Jesus.
yeah, he could be thrown into the mix to be next Ireland manager, but like a Willie Salion type character
Yeah.
might not happen. But I was reading there that he's done so well that he's been given Albanian citizenship, so
Jesus.
he's done pretty well in French. So maybe they're not as terrible as we're saying, but that is a tough group. It's a stinker of a group for them.
Yeah, right, Rob, back to you for Group C. This is where we're going to have our first rivalry group with two of the selected teams, Slovenia and Serbia, being in this one. So, what you got for us?
I have England topping it as usual. England get a relatively easy group. They've left out Grealish, Maguire, Madison. All of them justified. Maguire hasn't got fit, and Grealish hasn't been good enough, and he should probably reevaluate his career. And is it worth sitting on the bench for Man City? And Madison's form has been good enough, but England have such a great squad. Like Southgate could play different teams in these matches, and they'd still go through. So England top, Denmark second with 6 points. But actually, now that I look at that, they weren't great at the last World Cup. So, and Serbia have got a lot of goals in them, but I just have Denmark ahead of them. And Serbia are like a combustible team. Like they have lots of goals. They've Mitrovic, they've Vlahovic, they've lots of talented players, but they have the talent to finish second. But I would say I have them third, and then Slovenia, who's one of my teams, they're going to be on the first flight home, so they're doing nothing.
I'm the same as you, Robbie. Exact same order. I think I was slightly skewed in the Danish point, having a good bit of Danish family in my family. But yeah, no, I think you're right in the Serbian analysis there. They have a lot of potential, but there's a lot of fire in that team, and there's a lot of I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just a bit of a you don't know what you're going to get until you see it situation. But I think Denmark. Ericsson got a good goal. Was it last night or the night before? It was great to see him score in the stadium that he'd had a heart attack in actually. So that was lovely to see. But yeah, I think you're right. What are you saying, Killian?
England top with 7 points. I don't think they're going to win all the games. Because there's going to be some headline from the Sun saying that they all need to be executed when they come home. It happens. It's a rite of passage. I think Serbia are going to come second with 6 points though. Like I think they're a very strong team, and they're just one of these teams that you could just. They're like a lesser Croatia. You can never write them off. Then Denmark and Slovenia, and then in the Serbia Slovenia game, I've Serbia winning 2-0, much to Nate's delight. What are you saying, Nate?
Okay, mine's filled with no bias whatsoever. So I've got Serbia top of the group with 4 red cards. No, serious. I've got England top, Serbia second, Denmark third, and Slovenia fourth. But I might throw on a cheeky bet Serbia to have three red cards on the group stage.
I'm thrown out there just in terms of Killian's headline. I think that Bowie team for England will be Denmark. Calling
Yeah,
it now.
they
I
barely
think
beat them in the last Euros. Like it took, was it like kind of a bit of a dive from Sterling, and then Kane. I think he missed the penalty and scored the
Yeah.
rebound in the semi-finals. And yeah, but I think England will stroll through this. They won't be entertaining to watch, even though they've Bellingham and all these guys. But I think they'll just kind of make light work. For Serbia, it will be good to watch. I remember watching the World Cup in Russia, and he played Switzerland, and it was like a derby because the Swiss had so many like players of Albanian descent, and it was
Oh, right.
one of the best matches I watched at a tournament. They were kicking lumps out of each other. So, Serbia, I think, will be a good team to watch.
I think Serbia might actually have a field day on that England defense, like just
Yeah, but that
because their firepower, like
that is a question though. Like, what's going to happen now? Like, England's defense has always been strong, but they're probably going to have Trippier at left back, and they might have Conte, who's a good player for Villa. Like, he has to shuffle the pack more than he would like, and he doesn't have his safety blanket. So okay, he doesn't have Maguire, who's always
I'm
good in these
amazed at
tournaments.
that. I think I personally do think he would have brought him if it wouldn't have caused a
Yeah,
bit of a press storm. I think if that was any other if that was any other player, he would have been on that plane. But I'm amazed that Slabhead himself is not making the plane.
Well, it's the
that's why
slabhead rivalry. It'd be Mitrovic versus Maguire. Like we're
that would have
missing
been box
out on
office.
generational football here.
That would have been box office. But England, like I have them top here, but I'm looking at the odds. Like they're 3-1 to win the tournament, and it's not my
Oof.
bias because I'm not biased against England. I always like enjoy watching them being built up and then just falling just near the end. Nothing against them. It's just funny to watch, like as an Irish person. But I don't know if they're as good. They're not as strong going into this tournament. I don't think. Like if you look at the squad,
Opta have them favourites at like I
I
think
just
19.9% and France at 19.1. But I think Opta
can't
is
see it.
English.
Yeah, I can't see it.
yeah.
Like Trippier, as you know, as a Newcastle fan, Connor, like he has been injured and he's only come back and he looked a bit ropey. Then Luke
There's
Shaw's their
talks of playing on
only
left
left
back.
back. Yeah, Luke Shaw's their only actual natural left back. He hasn't played, Nate will be to tell you, in months. Like, Lewis Dunk is good for Brian, but Brian conceding a lot of goals. Mark Gahey, I'm looking here. Conce is a good player, but there's not like if you compare that to France's defense with Saliba and these guys, like it just there is a notable difference, I think. And England's defense has always been great, but if you go through it doesn't. To me, it looks very unbalanced.
I think I think we'll see as this bracket pans out. We all I'd imagine have England going pretty far, but like I think Walker's nailed on to be in that team because he's the only one that can deal with pace.
Yeah,
Whether it's Mbappe or whoever, if that England France game does come up, but yeah, it's definitely their most worrying area because they're attackingly so good.
Group D, Rob, what are we saying? This is another rivalry one. This is the Connor's own internal rivalry of France,
yeah.
Poland, Netherlands, and Austria.
Well, it's going to go the way the qualification went because France and Netherlands were in Ireland's group and France topped it. And they hammered the Dutch in the first match. I think I'm trying to get the exact score, but they hammered them in the first qualifier. I remember I watched Netherlands, France against Ireland at the Aviva last year, and there was like they didn't play well, but the players were so good. It was like they're playing a different sport. Like Antoine Griezmann is just he's absolutely brilliant. Like I think he's probably one of my picks to be player of the tournament. I think he'll have a late flourish. So France will definitely top it comfortably. It won't be entertaining. Like I haven't seen much of Austria, but I think it does look like they're doing well. And I think Ranić got a tough time at United, and he's a decent enough coach. So I'm not really convinced by Ronald Koeman, and I think the Dutch. I have them finishing second here, but it's literally because they've scored one more goal than Austria. So France, Netherlands, Austria, and then Poland going out in the group stages.
I'm not far off you. I got France, Netherlands, Poland, Austria. I do think it'll be interesting to see Ralph Ragnick and how they go. Obviously, Poland have Lewandowski, but they never seem to really be able to figure it out on at major tournaments. And there's something about the Dutch. Again, that's a bit of a Serbia situation or an Italy at the same time where you just don't know what you're going to get until it happens. I don't even think they know.
Yeah. I have France obviously topping it, but I have France at 9 points, and then the other three teams get 2 points each.
Oh,
So I think it'll be France, Poland, Netherlands, and Austria. Just down to France kind of dominating and the rest of them just kind of eking through, Nate.
Yeah, I feel like you boys haven't helped me here with my bias claims, but I've got Netherlands top in the group,
oh my Christ.
Oh.
France second, Poland third, Austria fourth
Where do you think France are going to mess up?
against Netherlands.
Interesting.
I,
Don't see it.
Yeah.
I think they're
yeah.
gonna. I think they're gonna make this tournament a memorable one for them. I think. I really not because I have France. Like I said, I really wish I didn't get them. But yeah, it's hard to see past them absolutely blitzing that. With especially with Mbappe, probably happier than it's ever been to be out of the shackles of PSG.
Plus, they have the
Prepare,
Yeah.
ghost of the World Cup
prepare
to
for an I told you
exercise.
so. That's all I'm gonna say.
Rob, Group E, this is one of your teams
Yeah.
here. Belgium, Slovakia, Ukraine, and Romania.
So I have Belgium topping it. I think this is one of the weakest groups. So I have Ukraine second, but not necessarily because they're doing anything brilliant. Just have them second.
Mm.
Romania then in third with 2 points, and Slovakia last at 1 point. I think Belgium, they haven't even got Courtois for some reason. He's not in the squad because he's been injured most of the season, so he's not there. We still have De Bruyne, still have Lukaku, good wherever that can be good and bad, and they have a kind of a lot of guys that will be used to like Trossard or Carrasco or Castagna, and then 37-year-old Jan Vertonghen I think is still in the squad. So I think they will get through the group, but not because they're particularly great. They'll just top it because they're better than those other guys.
I agree with Robbie. I think it's a bit of it's probably the lightest group. Surprised England didn't get it. I'm going Belgium, Ukraine, Slovakia, Romania. Again, Ukraine, Slovakia. That could easily be a swap there, but yeah, Belgium, Ukraine, Slovakia, Romania.
I have Belgium, Slovakia, Ukraine, and Romania. Romania not to pick up any points, and Slovakia and Ukraine to be level, both beating Romania and then drawing against each other and losing to Belgium. So it's just it kind of just makes itself. I don't think any of the wins will be particularly convincing, though. What about you, Nate?
I have Belgium, Slovakia, Ukraine, Romania. I think,
Mm.
yeah, but then again, like lads, I could see Romania beating Belgium. You know what I mean? I don't think the goal's that big. Like I really don't. I think on the day they could beat them, but that's how I have it.
Yeah, it's a weak Belgium team.
There was a
Now,
strong argument for Belgium not to be considered a top profile team or top tier team by none other than Mr. Nate.
I don't know who that came from.
it's the ructions before the last episode before we did the carousel, but we move on to Group F, the Killian rivalry group with Portugal, Czech Republic, Turkey, and Georgia. Rob, what's your placings?
Portugal will cruise through this. 9 points, probably won't even concede a goal, I would say.
Oof.
They have such a strange squad and such a strange team. Like they've all these superstars at the height of their career in every position other than centre half and up front. Like so, the Pepe, who's like 41, centre half. Ronaldo up front, who's 40 next February, and then you have like Bernardo Silva and all these guys and Bruno Fernandes and Diogo Jota might start and all these brilliant players. So bit of a strange squad, but I think Martinez will do well with them. I think he's a better coach than people give him credit for. So I think Belgium will top or Portugal top it. Then Turkey, I have them in second, but with like 2 points because I think Turkey, Czech Republic, and Georgia are probably all just not take points off each other. So Portugal, Turkey, Czech Republic, then Georgia.
Again, it seems like we've top and bottom always aligned, Robbie. I've
Yeah.
got Portugal, Czech, Turkey, and Georgia. Turkey are one of those teams, they surprise you in major tournaments and always seem to have wildfire games with about 15 yellows and some big results.
I have not as convincingly at top Portugal, so I actually have Portugal and Turkey level on 7 points apiece.
Jesus, you
That's
love a bit of
wild.
spice, don't you?
And I just goal difference keeping Portugal top. Just because, like you say, Turkey are one of these teams that, like, I remember, was it 2016 that they were being tipped to win, and
Oh, that was
then
got the dark horses one. It was like
yeah,
Shearer tipped him as a dark horse
yeah,
before the
and
first match,
I was completely on the hype train 'cause,
and
like,
then Italy beat them 3-0.
my earliest, like, some of my earliest football memories of being, like, able to follow it was Euro 2008, and it was that kind of like with Nihat and Tunchai Sanli and Dremel, and like they were such a good team, so I completely bought into the hype. So, but they always manage to falter when it actually matters, but they'll do well in the groups. Then I have Czech Republic and then Georgia. I think that might be a little bit more hopeful than anything. I don't think they're going to score a goal, and that would just really, really beat Willie Sagnol like a 1950s housewife, just enough that he thinks that Ireland is a good job for him. What do you think, Nate?
To be honest, I think you're sleeping on your own team, Portugal. That's what I think. I've got Portugal top, Turkey second, Czech Republic third, and Georgia fourth. Czech Republic, I could see them making maybe a result against Turkey, maybe. Yeah, the Euros are weird like that. Like it's usually the two middle teams. They can either or take points off each other.
Yeah.
So that's how I'd have a coin flip.
Right, gentlemen, this brings us on to our rounds of 16s. This is where we'll go through one each. You'll have to tell me the teams because the third place will be different depending on how we've all placed them. So, in your first round of 16, Rob, who do you have?
Spain won, Romania. Well, Spain beating Romania by whatever score that might be.
Oh, right.
I've Spain,
true.
Turkey.
I have Croatia, Ukraine, 3-1 to Croatia.
I have Germany beating my beloved Serbia 2-1.
Rob?
I've Germany beating Denmark.
Okay.
I'm the same. Germany beating my beloved Denmark.
I've Germany beating Serbia.
I have Italy beating Switzerland.
Oh. Rob?
Portugal beat Serbia in my next one.
I got Portugal beating Croatia.
Portugal beating Switzerland.
I've Spain beating Scotland.
Oh. That'd be a very interesting matchup.
For a second, Rob? I thought you said Scotland beating Spain. And I was like, oh my life.
I've Netherlands beating Ukraine in my next one.
Same.
I have Poland beating Slovakia.
That sounds like a stinker. I will not be watching that.
They'll be putting Sadlier out on RTE to do that
one. I have England beating Poland.
Oh, that'd be a pretty good match. Rob?
I have Italy beating Belgium.
Is this the fifth one, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I have Belgium beating Serbia.
I also have Italy beating Belgium, but it's after a 0-0. They beat them on penalties.
Ooh.
I have Portugal beating Denmark.
Ooh. Next one, Rob.
I have France beating Turkey.
France beating Czech.
France beating Turkey 4-0.
I have France beating Slovakia.
Oh God, stinker.
England beat Austria. My next one.
I've England absolutely hammering Slovakia.
I have
England scraping through against Czech Republic.
I've Croatia beating Belgium.
Ooh.
And in my last one, I've Croatia beating Switzerland.
I have Scotland and Italy drawn, with Italy going through on pens.
I have Spain trouncing Scotland.
And I have Netherlands smashing Turkey.
Right, quarterfinals. First one, Rob. Who do we got?
Germany beat Spain.
Same.
Germany beating Croatia.
I have Germany beating Spain too.
Oof. Rob.
Next one, I have Portugal beating Netherlands.
Same here.
Portugal beating Poland.
Portugal beating France.
Okay, I see you.
France out of the quarterfinals, Nate.
Yeah.
Next one is France beating Italy.
I have France beating Belgium.
France 3-1 over Italy.
My beloved Netherlands beating Croatia.
Jeez, you're really going spicy on this one. The two of you are having a Vindaloo.
Yeah. My next one is England beating Croatia. The last quarterfinal.
Yeah, last quarterfinal for me, I have England beating Italy 1-0. Full on Catenaccio.
Spain beating England 2-0.
Ooh.
I have England beating Italy on penalties.
Okay.
Semi-final one, Rob.
I have Germany beating Portugal. I just think being hosts, Germany will find a way through that, and Ronaldo would end the match crying, and Pepe will get sent off.
I could not have said it better if I tried. I have the exact same outlook.
I think Portugal are going to beat Germany 1-0.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think Portugal beat
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, we are divided as a podcast.
And my next semi-final is France beat England. I think I'm still unsure why England are favourites, probably because lots of people put money on them. That's often how it works, but I just think France will beat England 8 times out of 10. Probably 9 times out of 10, actually, in a situation like this.
I think myself and Rob are kindred spirits here.
Yeah.
I'm the exact same.
I have France beating Spain 2-1.
I have Netherlands beating England.
Oh, wow, you are really going brave.
Right, final, Rob.
Final on Berlin on July 14th. Germany lose 1-0 to France. I think it will be, France will score from a corner or something like that. And but Germany will be proud because probably no one's tipping them to get that far, but I think France will beat them in that situation.
I'm going to say I've Germany, France. I think Germany score first, France score late, probably Mbappe, bring it to pens, and France win on pens. And I win the sweepstakes, and all is well in the world.
I do have you winning the sweepstakes, but I think it'll be France 3, Portugal 1, with Ronaldo getting injured in the 7th minute and then screaming on the sideline like he did in 2016.
Wouldn't be
but it's
like
not
him.
going to work this time.
I have Portugal beating the Netherlands 3-1.
You've a Portugal-Netherlands final.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, I love your brain.
That's
It's not going to happen, but I love it.
Just
I will buy you dinner anywhere in Dublin if that
Okay.
happens.
Okay, yeah, no bother. Yeah.
That's recorded, by the way, Connor. Right, so general consensus is France to win from the pod, with the dark horses of Portugal, apparently. But is there any players that you think are going to stand out? Who, like, just to kind of, if you've gone through squads now, is there anybody that you think is just destined to be player of the tournament?
I think it's hard to say with player of the tournament because, obviously you've got the big ones like your Mbappes and your Griezmanns and De Bruyne's and, anywhere you want to go with that. But for me, I think it's going to be a surprise package. I think it's going to be one of those rando players that gets 5 goals and just goes in a bit of a tear. Who it is, where they're from, I do not know.
I like the look. I think Griezmann's class. I think he'll have a great tournament for France. He's always a big player for them. If France get that far, I think it might be him. I like Chouameni off France as well. He's class. He was brilliant against Ireland.
Camavinga too, possibly.
Like the midfield is like stacked. And then if Croatia or something like that have a good run, or Belgium have a good run, there'll be lots of clamour for De Bruyne or Modric because it's probably their last tournament. And again, Rodri is probably top midfielder now in Europe, but it depends on how Spain do. So
I forgot about Rodri.
Yeah, I have one player I'm not expecting that you probably play this back to me, but is Bellingham. Like I was disappointed in the matches I watched him in the Champions League. I don't think he scored.
Well, Champions League finally got absolutely silenced. They had him in his pocket, or they had him in their pocket.
He was kind of a non-entity, and he hasn't been much in the knockout stage. Like he's only a kid, like he's 20. Like he will get a lot better. He is top class, but this talk of Ballon d'Or and stuff, I just don't see it. So
if he'd scored in the final of the Champions League, I think he was a shoo-in.
Yeah, but his general play I just thought wasn't good enough, and he could be a bit at the moment. Like he will get better, but a bit of a flat track bully. But I think I don't see him firing the way the England might hope he might do, the way Rooney did 20 years ago, or I suppose Harry Kane doesn't really fire like that. He's just always very consistent. But I don't see Bellingham having a tournament that a lot of people are tipping him to have.
Killian, what are you saying?
I think being very boring. I think Mbappe is actually just gonna. I think this is going to be his tournament to prove a point, heading over to Madrid, kind of like middle finger to not only PSG but the nation of France, and kind of like with the fact that Macron stood in on the last one and kind of go like, listen, I'm doing my own thing here, and I'm going to carry you, and you're going to have to love me. But like, I do think that there's going to be a couple of players that are going to surprise people. Like, I think Yamal for Spain, he's only 16. I think he's actually going to have a very, very good tournament. Like, he's already doing well internationally at a stupidly young age.
Yeah,
He
I
surely
think
won't start though.
I don't think he'll start in the first group game. Maybe not in the second one, but I think
He'll get a
there'll
run
be
out.
a. No, I think Spain will have a little bit of a wobble, and they'll throw him in, and he'll end up kind of like what Renato Sanchez did for Portugal in 2016. That kind of like, oh, you've arrived.
What's your vibe on Yamal, Robbie?
he's very talented, but it was more I was thinking coming in like about Mbappe, and it was more like it could. I think it should be his turn. It could be his turn. Like it's not for Mbappe to prove anything to me, but I'd like to see him prove to people that he's not just the most talented footballer in the world. He actually is the best player in the world, and I have that a little bit of a distinction with Mbappe. Like I think he is the most talented player in the world, but I don't think he's been the best player, and I don't think he can call anyone playing for PSG the best player in the world. Like we've seen international tournaments in the past where a player kind of bends the tournament to their will, like Messi at the World Cup in Qatar, Rooney 20 years ago. Like this has been a common, like even James Rodriguez 10 years ago at the World Cup in Brazil, James Rodriguez. Like I just don't think Mbappe has kind of done that yet, and if he's not going to do it now, when will he? And I just feel like he is considered the best player in the world. But for me, I see him still more as the most talented, and he needs to prove that he actually is the best player in the world. And this is kind of his stage still because um, I, I, I think when France don't have the ball, he just doesn't seem to just get involved in the game at all. And I just don't like that from him. I think because he's capable of doing more. So
It's like Ronaldo at United. He kind of went through a spell of just walking back, and I
yeah,
think that's the one for me that I find curious when he goes to Madrid is he's a left sided player. Vinny's a left sided player. Who goes where? You know.
yeah, and Ronaldo's doing that in his mid 30s. Like Mbappe's like 25, like 26. Like he's capable of doing more and bringing. I think he's been playing at probably when I was watching for France, anyway, 50, 60% of his actual ability. And I just think if now is the time to actually show that and do what Zidane did in Euro 2000 or do what Rooney did for those couple of games 20 years ago. So I still have my questions marks about him.
Nate, who's standing out for you?
Oh god, I can feel the judgment coming already, but I think Bruno Fernandes will be
Oh
player of the
Jesus
tournament.
Christ!
I genuinely do. Lads, he's going to laugh whatever, but every time he plays for Portugal, he's scoring an assist. I think over a whole tournament, I think we could proper see him win the player of the tournament. I think he could end up with 4 or 5 goals and a couple of assists. So, um,
I'd love him to get it. I just don't see it happening.
I really do. Like, he just can't stop scoring for his country. Like, it's crazy. Also, for the Netherlands, Xavi Simmons, I think he could have a good tournament.
Shout.
He's a tricky little player that I think could work in that Netherlands system. So they'd be my two ones to watch. But yeah, I think people might be sleeping on Bruno for the Euros.
I've one that will shock you guys that I think could be top scorer is Havertz. Like
No way.
That's
he got
crazy.
13 goals for Arsenal last season. He's playing as a false nine for Germany. Like
In
they
a home
have
tournament.
a home tournament. They have a kind of a clear path through. Like they won't play an elite team until the quarterfinals. And yeah, I think Havertz could actually looking at it. Like, it might be worth a bet.
Well,
I
I
don't know
think
what his odds are.
if you pull that off, I think it's even bigger than you calling Jurgen Klopp leaving before he decided to leave, which I don't think we've ever given you your flowers for. But holy,
No, and I got 2-0 in the Champions League final as well, so I want
you're
credit
yeah,
for
oh jeez, you know what?
that. I want to
I might
roll.
be putting a tenner on Havertz after all.
Yeah.
Connor, top scorer.
Oh, hard to see past Mbappe if he's in the mood. Outside of that, Kane could be up there, depending on how far England go.
I'm kind of, I don't know why. I have a feeling this could be where Rafa Leao arrives for Portugal. I think he could do very well, and
He had a very good year.
yeah, he has kind of underwhelmed internationally so far, and I think they can't rely on Ronaldo, just with his age and stuff. And when you do have players like Bruno, if he can be bothered, and he seems to be bothered for Portugal, that he can assist, and having the likes of Jota and all that, just having him as an advanced forward could be kind of like a match made in heaven. Like Mbappe will probably be up there, but I do think the likes of a like a Marcus Thuram or somebody like that will sneak a couple of extra goals more than what people think. Um, yeah, I can see Kane getting some goals. I can't see him doing well enough to be in contention
See,
for it.
my only rationale with him is they've a relatively easy group. So if England can actually get some goals, he could get enough early that it carries him.
And do you know who I think could get a few more goals than people think as well? Is one of the Spanish strikers that people forget. Like I think an Iosi Perez or a Joselu, or to a lesser extent a Morata. I think one of them will end up with like 3 or 4 goals, which is more than I think any of us would expect them to get. Nate,
100%.
who are you calling for golden shoe?
Um, I think Harry Kane. I just think he'll take about 55 penalties that will get him over the line. Um, he'd be my pick, to be honest. But yeah, maybe Bruno Fernandes sneaky one in. That's okay. I'm taking the piss there, right? But
Thank God.
But like Bruno Fernandes has had 26 goals and 65 appearances for Portugal.
That
He's
is frighteningly
in
good,
his
yeah.
last 5 games. I think he's had seven goals or assists for Portugal. Like he's going in a good form.
Who do we think is going to be? Who's kind of the best comparisons? Like Di Maria back in 2010, Ozil back in 2010. Like who is going to be the player that's going to make their name at the tournament, get a kind of a nice transfer move, and then kind of falter to deceive for the rest of his career? I think Cleberson, like that. Who is going to
Oh,
be the Cleberson of Euro 2024? Rob.
I don't know if this is like a boring, nerdy answer, but I don't know if these, unless Man United buy them, I don't know if these kind of tournament players exist anymore. Like United, like someone would do well at a tournament and someone would snap them up like Cleberson or Karol Boborski for United in the 90s. Like now there's so many data nerds and scouts that it's just hard to kind of be hoodwinked on a player. I would say, I don't think he'll flop, but I think Florian Wirtz for Germany will
Yeah.
have a really good tournament, and he's like linked with a lot of clubs. He plays for Leverkusen, so he'd be one I'd be keeping an eye on. But I don't know if there's still that kind of. It used to be good, like that tournament player, but like actually United got caught by a little bit, even though he redeemed himself with Amrabat. So I need to maybe come back to him that. I don't know if there's anyone else
I
standing
think
out.
you're right, Robbie. I think those kind of standout players are more random South Americans in a World Cup than a Euros kind of player for
Yeah.
me. So I don't see there being any major one. There'll obviously be moves, don't get me wrong, but I don't see any standouts.
Anybody coming to your mind, Nate?
No, not particularly. Like I'd agree with Connor that it's more like a World Cup style when the countries that maybe not have as much detailed scouting. I think that's where you get the most. But no, there's no one that's really coming to mind. But I can sense that you have someone in your mind.
Yeah, like I think Sesko is going to arrive in this tournament, and in the sense that I don't think his team is going to do well, but I think it's going to make a load of people kind of go, oh, so that's why he's been linked, because he has been linked with some like major moves. Like I think he's kind of underestimating like the spread of players and the stupidity of teams. I think with all the data nerds being around, I think they're always trying to look for these extra little bits that may or may not actually exist in a player. Like how many times have we seen guys that just on paper, yes, that should work. That like look at West Ham with all their strikers. How many of them have this sign that goes like Sepp Haller? That should work. Who was the Italian lad that had it? Was a
Scamacca,
Scarma? Yeah, like
and he's gone. He played well for Atlanta then.
yeah, like there's all these kind of guys that I think prove that no matter how much money you put into your scouts and stuff, that you will still make these mistakes. And I don't know.
I think it's the case though. Like there'll be big moves, but what's a big move? Like there's not going to be a James to Madrid
I don't,
situation.
no, I don't think it's going to necessarily be a big move, but I think it's going to be one of these players that like has a good tournament and then is getting a move that 6 months ago he wouldn't have been linked with.
Yeah.
I'd
Like
say
I think there's going to be.
Italy's quite open to that. I'd say they've got like a lot
Yeah,
of young players that are like sort of have a name, sort of don't, but have a perceived high potential. Like I could see one of them getting a move
like
after.
Bastoni, he's highly rated.
Yeah, I know. Did Scavini get injured just before the tournament? Like he would have been one I'd keep my eye on.
Yeah, Chiesa had a great tournament 3 years ago,
Yeah,
but he
he
hasn't
did.
played. He hasn't played well since.
Mhm.
So that could be someone Chelsea waste a lot of money on.
I,
Yeah,
I think it's
I
going to be
think
interesting with the FFP side of things as well, because like looking around the league, maybe it's just because it's top of mind for Newcastle. But there's a good 5-6 clubs that have to sell players by the end of June to not be in trouble. So I don't see there being, if there is moves, it won't be early in the summer.
yeah.
I think Baumgartner from Leipzig in Austria. I think I can see him at a United or like an AC Milan or something like that. Like he's at Leipzig, so he's already at a good level. But I think somebody like him could get a nice kind of move that 6 months ago he might not necessarily have been linked to it. But I also think someone out of Serbia or Slovenia, like looking at Slovenia's team, like they have a good few players that are playing over in kind of Eastern Europe or kind of like the odd leagues. Like Zeskovic, he's a 21-year-old midfielder for Spartak Tamvana with one cap. Does that not scream Euros, 2 goals in 4 games,
Signs for
get
AC Milan.
and ends up like doing grand for 5 years, getting them in the Champions League and moves on for 30 million. Like I think there's going to be some kind of a move out of it.
I don't. I feel
So
like
Zeskovic or Baumgartner,
I
you've
feel
heard it here
like
first.
in football we're like here at this point where like Slovenia will go get whacked by the three teams. It would like, do you know what I mean? Like I don't know what I'd take from that. Like especially what would a scout take from that? Like I just
Yeah,
think, yeah, I think
it used to be very different.
football's a lot more boring these days. I
It
think
It
is, yeah.
is. Like I
Yeah,
remember when I was a kid, Suker. I
Oh,
remember Davor
Davar
Suker.
Suker. Yeah,
Like he was
yeah.
a great player. He played for Real Madrid and stuff, but then he went to Arsenal. Didn't do that great, but he won the Golden Boot at the World Cup in '98. Like and Karl Poborski, all these guys who do well in tournaments, and then that would be your only memory of them. And then, as Nate said, it's boring in the sense it's very predictable.
well,
Um,
it's terrible when you have fans making lineup graphics of teams' lawyers.
oh
Oh,
geez,
Um,
that's
Jesus,
where we're
yeah.
don't
at.
get please don't get me started on that. Like
Black Mirror stuff. Like this is like yeah. So
that is a video we should make. Is the Black Mirror football predictions, like
that's why I
how
like these
awful.
tournaments actually because it is football. It's like in the sense that it's fair. Like obviously it doesn't like Ireland will never be as good as Brazil for millions and millions of reasons, but it is fair as it can be in the sense that, as I said, you have a team like Portugal with all these superstars and in the prime of their careers, and you have a 42-year-old Pepe, a 41, and Ronaldo up front because he just refuses to be dropped, and Roberto Martinez has to make the most of that. Or you've Spalletti at Italy, like he's trying to marry his style that he has with a club, and then he's players retiring like Bonucci and Chiellini and all these stalwarts, and he's just trying to put shape on it, and then an injury can happen or whatever it might be. I just think international football and these tournaments are a purer form of football in the sense that it's not like a club
Totally.
game, and that's why it appeals to me more because if Portugal were a club team, Pepe would be long gone. Like he'd be a legend standing at the side working for a Portugal TV or something like that. He wouldn't be on the pitch. Like those days are gone. So that's what I like about it. And that's why it's a kind of an antidote to Man City and all the lawyers and yeah, all that nonsense. So that's why I'm looking forward to the Euros.
I think one of the exciting things for the Euros, just as we finish, is also how many young players are actually there. Like there's
Yeah.
the squads are getting increasingly younger, but like the fact that we're going to get to see the likes of Xavi Simons, even like a Hoyland to a lesser extent, Jamal Musiala,
Lamal.
is it Guler from Madrid for Turkey?
Yeah.
Like
Arda Güler.
Laman, like the Spanish team has I think 4 or 5 lads under 20. Like
It must
it's
stink
going
though
to be
if you're one of
exciting.
those wonder kids and you're at a team like Turkey. You're just like, for fuck's sake, just why can't I be?
Actually, here's a question for you. It's just as we finish up, because I have a very, very passionate answer on it. Would you rather
Oh God.
be a very good player and have an okay, get maybe 20 or 30 caps for a nation, or be a very good player and play for kind of a crap nation, but become an absolute and utter legend?
I know exactly what you're
Me
thinking on
too.
this is, and I don't want to be the legend, but I've a bloody good feeling you'd play for Gambia if they rang in the morning.
100%. Look at George Weah. He's now president of Liberia. Look at
Too much
Aubameyang.
paperwork, mate. I just want to make my money.
Aubameyang could have played for France and actually would have gotten the squad, but he wouldn't have gotten the squad for that long, where he's had a very long and now legendary career for Gabon. Like, I don't know why there's all these bag chasers, because in the long run, you're going to actually earn less. Like, is 2 caps for England worth 20 or 30 years of a career? Like, look at
I think it
like
was more for your
Irish
career.
pundits.
I think, like,
Yeah,
I
look at
think,
Grealish.
I think if you get like 6 caps for England, your weekly wages are going to go up a fair bit. While if you may be a cult icon in, Saint Lucia, but
Yeah,
what's that do
Yeah.
for you week to week?
yeah.
I
Give
think
me the glory. I like. I would much rather
I
Nate,
20,
think
30 caps for France than
Yeah, then
um,
130 for Saint
an,
Lucia.
an equivalent, yeah, or a smaller nation.
see lads, I sort of look at it like if I'm going on international duty, do I have to take more than 2 flights? Like that's how I'm sort of, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
well, yeah,
no,
yeah,
but
that's
like
it as
the,
well.
the other part of it as well is like, imagine you're not a great player and you get the opportunity to go and play for Trinidad and Tobago, let's say. Imagine getting to be paid, not well, but reasonably, to go over and chill on a beach.
Trinidad sounds like a two-flighter, my man.
Yeah,
It is. It
yeah, I don't
is.
think you're
Well,
getting me
like,
into that.
no,
Like
but like, imagine like, oh, I have to go on international duty to a Caribbean paradise. Oh, you poor thing.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'd rather getting 70 grand a week being riding the bench for England.
It does
And
make a difference. Like even Sammy Smollett, they asked him about when did he start thinking of playing for Ireland, and he's like, when my agent kind of alerted me that I could play for Ireland. Like dig those quotes out, and then Sammy Smollett has a great season, and it's kind of part of the package to be an international player. Same with Grealish. Like part of Grealish, I'm sure felt like second or third generation Irish, but like take away the fact he's born in England and he's English and he grew up there. It's just that cachet of being an England midfielder. It does make a difference. Like Gucci don't sign up many Irish internationals, you know that way.
yeah,
Like
That's a
for
very good
right.
point.
Whereas Jack Grealish is the face of Gucci, and like he does campaigns with them, and that might his be. That depends on the player's priorities as well. Like if you want that lifestyle and the money, playing for the bigger nation will help you. Whereas yeah, for other players it won't.
Jokes
But I do
aside, though,
think
he
just
doesn't go
just
for 100
saying though,
million. Though he doesn't go for
that's
100
it.
million. He doesn't
No,
possibly end up at that City team if he's Irish.
Killian.
no.
just saying, the face of Versace is Cillian Murphy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
well, that's true, but it's just well as like it's a prestige thing as well to say I'm paying for this like 10 caps for. Imagine you played 10 times for this current France team. You must be a seriously good
Absolute
footballer.
baller, yeah.
Whereas like there's certain players play for Ireland 100 times or whatever, and they're not exactly
Or your
world
Danny
class.
Gabadon's like, yeah, I'm an international
Yeah,
player, but like, mate, you play for Gibraltar, like.
yeah. So it depends on the player, but if it's me, give me the choice. Yeah, I think I'd rather
Yeah,
a
I'll
bigger
ride that
nation.
bench any day. I'll settle
Yeah,
for a Gucci contract.
yeah.
What are you saying, Nate?
yeah, I'll ask you this question. Do you think you're getting a Gucci contract in Trinidad and Tobago?
All I'm saying is that did you ever hear of Phil Younghusband?
No.
Exactly. Phil Younghusband was a youth player in Chelsea, and he became the face
Did he get married
of.
young? Did he?
He became the face of Armani in the Philippines. Is a superstar over there. So much of a superstar that his younger brother, who was never a good footballer, ended up with over 100 caps for the national team just because he was associated with him.
Well, that's I think a social video that we need to go into more depth on.
Yeah,
Like he is the Filipino David Beckham, and I think this is where people are getting underestimating the power of like choosing a smaller country, because like I think you kind of think, oh yeah, the likes of Saint Lucia, 5,000 people on an island. There's tens and tens of, I think it's 120 million people in Philippines or something stupid like that.
You've heard
So
it.
like it'd be a lot of money to be gone there. Like if I was Luke 9 for Sunderland, he's eligible to play for Singapore. Singapore pays their politicians $1 million a year. If that's what they can pay a politician, well then what can they pay for an endorsement?
You've heard it here first, guys. Killian Kennedy, the new face of Gucci in Trinidad and Tobago.
yeah.
Before we go, gents, quick fire answer. Who we saying for Golden Glove?
Pickford, why not?
Yikes.
Pickford's actually not a bad bet, in fairness. I think Rui Patricio though for Portugal.
Is Patricio going to play? Or
I
Diogo
think so.
Costa? I'd go with one of them anyway. Whoever plays for Portugal.
Yeah, I'd be kind of the same, but I think Patricio could end up being the one that plays.
Pickford is I was not expecting, but I'm thinking Germany, but
I'm saying Pickford. Like I'm saying England have a bit of a ropey defence, like not as good as it was, but I still think they won't let many goals in. And Pickford actually has a good season. In fairness, I know he gets a lot of stick, but
Killian's
he's been a
been
lot better.
championing Pickford for a long old while.
Pickford, the man only gets out of bed in the morning when there's a point to be proven. Like get the rave on. Like as I said, it's gonna happen. There's gonna be an article in the Sun calling for the public execution of the England players after the second game, and from then on, Pickford is going to turn into
Siege mentality, us against the world.
Oh, he's going to turn into Peter Schmeichel on steroids. He's going to be making Gordon Banks versus Pele diving saves every game
with his
even though
crocodile hands.
Yeah, he's just going to turn into like an amazing player as soon as somebody starts bitching against him.
I'm clipping that when he ships 3 past France.
And on that bombshell, we shall leave it, gentlemen. I think this could be our longest ever episode.
I think so.
Well done. We've made it true. We've done our previews and predictions of Euros 2024. And we'll see you next week after the first match.
Messi. Oh my goodness! Balotelli.